Hello, I'm Princeton Vice, and I'm here to host horror movies and show recipes. And I'm all out of recipes. Wait, never mind. I got some right here. We're good. And now we're back, and now for today's Dark Arts and Crafts. We're back in the kitchen with a rather fancy recipe, Tournedos Victor Hugo.
What the what?
In a nutshell, beef fillets with 2 types of sauce.
Then why the fancy name? Something to do with Victor Hugo?
Probably not. I'll explain. This recipe comes from a book I just purchased, Cooking Pricewise, aka one of the cookbooks written by Vincent Price himself. As I mentioned before, Vincent Price was not just an actor, but a gourmet as well. While traveling the world for work and vacation, he'd dine in fancy restaurants at local restaurants, being sure to savor the local cuisine, and many times he'd ask the chefs for the recipe so he could try it at home. So I have no proof to back this up, but I suspect that this is a recipe he got from the chef at the Hotel Victor Hugo in Paris. But it's close enough to work for our movie here. The first sauce, a Neapolitan tomato sauce. This is going to require 1 clove of garlic, 4 tablespoons olive oil, 2 tablespoons tomato paste, 2 tablespoons warm water, 1 can of tomatoes, teaspoon of salt and black pepper, and 1 teaspoon dried basil. To make the tomato sauce, squash the clove of garlic without cutting it. We're gonna open our cans and hopefully not cut myself. So, guess who has 2 thumbs and forgot to bring a can opener with them to the studio? Me! But more importantly, I still have 2 thumbs. Yay! Squash the garlic without cutting it. We're gonna heat it in oil. 4 tablespoons, or really that's enough to give a very solid layer at the bottom of the pan. There we go, see that there? And while it's doing that, we're gonna go ahead and chop up. It says chop up our tomatoes roughly. It says remove the cores, but I don't see any cores on them, so maybe they've been decored. Doesn't say how long to cook it in for. Let's leave it a good minute. All right, we're getting some garlic smell off of that. That's good. Let's go and take it off. Next, it says dilute the tomato paste with the warm water and add to the olive oil. There we go, off the back. That's about 2 tablespoons right there. Add that to the oil. Let's mix that nice and fancy right there. There we go. And we're gonna add in a pound of tomatoes. So we're just gonna add this straight in. We've added that to our pasta, and now we're gonna stir in our seasonings, the sugar, the basil, bring to a boil and simmer gently for about 20-30 minutes, stirring occasionally. Now we've already made the tomato sauce, which is simmering. Now the second sauce, a sauce béarnaise, which involves half a teaspoon of finely chopped shallot. This has gone bad, so I guess we're using garlic instead. That's what life's like. We're gonna need half a teaspoon of dried tarragon, half a teaspoon dried cheval, half a quarter teaspoon cayenne pepper, half a teaspoon salt, ground pepper, 2 tablespoons of that tarragon vinegar I mentioned before, 2 large egg yolks, and 3 ounces or 6 tablespoons of clarified butter or ghee. Okay, what the frack is cheval? I think it's a kind of African cat. Oh, it's parsley. Just use parsley. All right, to make sauce béarnaise, put shallot, tarragon, cheval, seasonings, and liquids into a small saucepan. So fun fact, if you don't have any tarragon, or you don't like tarragon, you can do without, but basically you're just making a hollandaise sauce, which is great, because hollandaise sauce on steak is also amazing. And bubble until reduced by 2/3. And while that's reducing, we're gonna go ahead and get our eggs ready. Now we're gonna need to have 2 large egg yolks. Generally, you can just do that by just dropping it. And then you can do the neat little trick here. You're gonna take the 2 shells And you kind of play a little shaker and do that. Well, I can smell it. That's a good sign. Oh yeah, I can smell that. That's reduced vinegar. All right, now that we've got it, we're gonna reduce that a little bit. We're gonna let it cool for a bit. Now the eggs. This is where it gets a little tricky. You want to give them heat, but you don't want them to cook. This recipe basically has you add the eggs off the stove and then return to a gentle heat. If it gets too hot, you can also take it off for further longer still. Stir for 5 minutes until it thickens. Next, we're going to beat in the butter piece by piece. If you're using ghee or clarified butter, you'll want about 6 tablespoons. Add it a little bit at a time. Stir in for about 5 minutes. Splash of lemon juice is optional. Now, there's other ways to make sauce: double boilers, blenders. I'll let you investigate that on your own. Well, that's it for the sauces. What is a tournedo? Technically, it's the choicest bit of a filet mignon, cut small, round, and extra tall. Of course, if you can't afford that, filet mignon is fine, or even a steak cut in half will fine. I just cut a sirloin in 2. First, the steaks. What you'll need is 4 slices of beef, fillet of steak, oil. It doesn't specify in the book, but I suspect olive oil or grape oil should be fine. Salt. Pretty simple. I've not tried this with vegetarian substitute, but I suspect portobello mushrooms might work just fine. So after making the sauces, each tournedo is tied into a neat round, brush with oil, sprinkle with salt. Grill under a fierce heat for approximately 3 minutes on each side. The meat should be rare in the center. Now this should serve 4, but these look a little small in the book, so I recommend the side. Probably steamed or grilled asparagus should do nicely. You can tell from all the smoke, that's been about 3 minutes on each side. Look at that. Woohoo! Now, if you like, you can garnish each steak with a button mushroom, serve on a bed of the hollandaise sauce, and serve the tomato sauce separate. And there we go, our steak tournedo. Let's see how it tastes. The tomato sauce is nice. Let's try the hollandaise and see if I did any good on that. Bernaise. I don't think I did it quite right, but that's a nice little sourness to it. It very much an herby sourness, which contrasts the bright tomato. So I think they really work well together. I can see why they made the sauce. Hopefully your Bernaise comes out a little better than mine, but I think there's a lot of fun combination to try. And if you try it yourself, let us know.
If your monster's sad and bitter, or he's feeling like a quitter, see the monster sitter, Mr. Princeton Vice.